the links to join channel over at SubScribestar, now over at Odyssey. So you know the mainstream media journalists are getting mad. And, imagine calling yourself a Kotaku and then following up with journalists are getting mad over something when they rush out to defend the $1 trillion Hollywood entertainment industry, because by people laughing at it, they know that they're attacking their narrative. So the left is getting triggered. Let me set the stage. Perhaps if you haven't been paying attention, over the past 10 years, the world has had enough of Jack Black. Over the past 10 years, Hollywood, comics, including like all the streaming Hollywood equivalent type of stuff, and video games have been, and people thought video games were going to be the last to go. Well, yeah, they might have been the last to go, but they did. They also got woke. Have all become increasingly woke, and they're not taking the audience along on the woke ride, and people have just stopped supporting these things, which run on your money. They've started finding less woke ways to spend their entertainment dollar. Alternative media has a huge part to play with this, because even though there might be small channels that are only streaming to 100 or a few thousand people, they're more fun than anything that the mainstream global homogenization is putting out. And when you start adding up those channels, well, there's thousands of those channels, and there's only 24 hours in a day. So there's only so many things to kind of focus on. And as people leave the mainstream behind, they get involved in the alt community, and they discover, it's way more low budget, but it's raw, and it's just not this corporate plastic garbage insert laugh track. And somebody pointed out that for some reason Friends was in the news yesterday. And they go, go find some of the shows will have it without the laugh track. You can search on YouTube, I think, and you watch it and you're like, oh, sitcoms are horrible. Yeah, they always were. Anyway, so the movies started getting attention for being woke with Disney Star Wars. Came out in 2015, kind of kicked things off into gear. It signified a really big shift between Johnny Depp's Pirates of the Caribbean trilogy, which was just flat out silly fun. And then, 5 years later, when that concluded, they go to Disney 2015 Star Wars, and you're like, this is a departure from what you were. It's like, this is the new direction of Disney. Weren't you a family-friendly company? Yeah, they were, and then they got involved in Florida and DeSantis and, preying on kids, essentially, and Disney's not Disney anymore. I think most people are aware of that. And then you had Ghostbusters in 2016. And then all the Marvel stuff after Infinity War, was that 2018? Same for DC. They had Suicide Squad Part 2, Birds of Prey, Black Adam, Black Widow, Shazam 2. Then you had Shang-Chi, Little Mermaid, Madam Web, The Marvels. Even Batgirl was so bad that they made the movie. Everyone is talking about it. And they go, you know what? Even though we're $100 million into this, we can't release it because it will cause reputational harm to DC because they've had so many other bombs lately. And then you can add in the animations that people have been putting out, which most of those lost money. And then you add in Marvel and Star Wars, the streaming shows, which also bombed. Amazon and Netflix have also had bombs. They have Rings of Power right now that nobody is watching because it's because of the writing. It's horrible. Everything other than the writing, it's like, oh, this kind of looks cool, and then you listen to what the themes are. This doesn't make any sense. Then the girl power, Eternals with the Angelina Jolie, Selma Hayek came out. Nobody watched it. Red Panda, which lost like $250 million. Wonder Woman, Woman Part 2, or no, Wonder Woman 84 or something with Gal Gadot and Patty Jenkins. 2.5 hours of just every woke cliche, and you're like, oh, was that the movie where they snuggled a guy who they took his body over and had sex without his consent? Yeah, yeah, it's weird that nobody noticed that you would have done that, taken advantage of somebody without their consent, that 4-letter R word. Oh, well, it's a guy, it doesn't count. Like, who wouldn't want to be with Gal Gadot? It's still a snuggle? Oh, well, move on. Like, nobody will hold us accountable. We're women. It's like, that's essentially what happened. But that was a massive, massive bomb. Then you had Terminator, the girl power edition. X-Women. Nobody saw that. Charlie's Angels. Probably a bunch more as well. The thing is, yes, they had some hits. The hits don't make up for the losses. They were just too many very serious losses. Why are people not watching stuff coming out of Hollywood? Because of the toxic far left-wing themes like anti-whiteism, misandry, anti-Christianity, anti-nation, anti-natal, anti-traditional family. Things that they're pushing a lot. They're how do I say this? Doing a lot of tribe mixing. They're doing things that cut off the continuity of the family, the tribe, the natal, the nation, to create this rootless found family concept. Is very popular with these bullshies. And so people are just not looking at a movie theater now, and you go, oh, for 4 people, it's going to be like over $60 at. Like in the suburbs, in a city, it's going to be even more. It's just, there's no way it's worth it for a lot of things unless there's something that's fantastic. So basically, everything that's coming out is just all globalist propaganda for an audience that is increasingly becoming more tribal because of the political events that have been going on since 2016, kind of when the left-wing media lost their mind over Trump derangement syndrome, and then the 2020 riots. So people have actually, like, the mainstream has gone further left, but the people themselves are going further. I'm not sure if right is the right term, but they're becoming more tribal, more in-group focus, in-group preference, where they go, oh, diversity, inclusion, and equity and representation. Yeah, we want to see our people on screen. They go, oh, but look, here's all these blonde people on screen. No. We don't want to see them as the antagonists. We'd like to see them as the protagonists. Can you just treat different races fairly? Sir, that is a bridge too far. If you have blonde people on screen, they're going to be the bad guys. Yeah, that's why people are not, like, you can't force us to pay to watch these stupid movies, and people are definitely dipping out. People want good-looking characters. That means you have to be slim, in shape, and they want them to look like the nicest people, the people of the light, people like you and I, because they associate good things with these Nordic-looking characters. Because as I keep saying, none of this is happening in a vacuum. The only people being awesome right now are us, are the blonde-haired, blue-eyed types. So people want to see them in games and in movies. They don't want to see diversity. That's I know YouTube is cracking down. YouTube's been kicking off a bunch of channels. The Tenet thing with Chen is one thing, but they're also kicking off a bunch of other channels. And Quartering points out, he goes, oh, it's because it's coming up on a big election that they don't want kicking off some news channels that are reporting wrongthink that's happening under the VP right now, and then who's running for P, and then you look at her and you go, oh, she's kind of been running the show for the past 3.5 years, hasn't she? Change. It's going to be change. You're in office right now, and then people realize, oh, the other guy's got dementia, so that means that, like, you've been in charge for the past 3.5 years. She's actually insane. Anyway, so the best example of this is I got to hear her speak in person once a long time ago, and she was crazy as a loon back then. I got my picture taken with her. Maybe I'll edit myself out and put that on there. I was so damn skinny. Anyway, so the best example of this is 8 years ago, diversity in comics, Mr. Myers, sitting in his car making fun of stupid comics. He held the comics in one hand and he held a cell phone in the other. It's the lowest budget thing you could possibly do. You think, it shouldn't be a big deal. Just a guy he's a comic expert. He's really funny, making fun of comics. It shouldn't be a problem for anyone. If you don't like his channel, if you don't like my politics, just don't watch his channel. How hard is that for left wingers? That was asking the impossible, because the left wing actually wanted to delete him and his whole family. They were talking about somebody's kids is the lowest of the low. Most people who are mentally healthy realize you talk about the principal who you're having an issue with. You don't talk about somebody's wife, and you never talk about somebody's kids. But the people who he was upsetting are deeply mentally ill, and they were talking about his whole family. Like threats of harm to somebody who sits in a car, talks about comics, and you go, that seems really off the deep end. Yes, because he was making fun of their religion. Their religion is this globalist Bolshevism. The comics were the gospel. And lately, Concord and Dustborn are two video games. One's low budget, one's high budget. And Acolyte, the Star Wars streaming show, and a bunch of other Star Wars stuff. either underperformed or outright bombed, because the woke kids, these SJWs who are always online saying, shut up and take my money, they never actually support the woke cancer that they say they want. Yet for some reason, they're mad at the right wing for not supporting the things that are not made for us. What was Elizabeth Banks, that famous line? She made Charlie's Angels, the remake, and she's talking about men, and she goes, well, it's not made for men. It's a girl power film, and girl, and then the movie bombs. And you go, so what happened? Men didn't come out and see the movie. There's a video clip of you saying it's not made for men. I never, that doesn't matter. It's like, you're never going to be held accountable. In fact, you kind of failed upwards, because they gave her another shot with the bear on the Bolivian marching powder. It was a low budget movie, but they did it quick, so it was a way to kind of wash away Charlie's Angels. So when you associate Elizabeth Banks, you associate her with a mildly successful, low budget cocaine bear movie, and it worked pretty well. So because she's female, they're gonna keep her in the industry no matter what, no matter how many bombs she has. Anyway, so things with Pac's female characters are a hard no for a lot of people right now, because it automatically means it's going to be racist against Europeans, or woke for short. So the left wing is really pissed off and calling us phobic and istas for not supporting this anti-white racist cancer. Why would we? Dear left wing, I know you're not listening to this. Pretend that we, the people of the light, love ourselves as much as you love yourself, and as much as you hate us. I know that seems inconceivable to you, but I mean, myself personally, I am just so much further right than I was like 10 years ago. It's just insane how fast you can change, because you look at information, you evaluate things, and you have to come to logical conclusions. Anyway, so this new movie is coming out, and Jack Black in Minecraft, who a few months ago was on stage with his band, and his guitarist made a deletion threat against the president. So a lot of people are done with him. Plus, again, it's got the obese POC female, which is so far, the correlation between Pac's female and woke so far has been 100%. So people are laughing at it already. And you look at this in my area, it's like $16 to go see a movie. It's very, I'm trying to think of movies in the past 5 years that have been worth it, and I'm not coming up with anything that's worth the $15.50 to go see a movie. There's just nothing that good out there, and it's not just the money. It's like to drive to the theater, and you know what I'm saying? It's like to leave the house and go to the theater for this, or walk to it. It's just, yeah, I can go sail the high seas for it, or I can go on Amazon or Disney Plus and watch it, or something like that. It's like, you got to really give people a reason to go to a theater, to have some kind of theater experience. And if it's something like, hey, Jack Black is in his 100th movie where he plays, fat, bearded Jack Black. He's been in a few good movies, even really dumb ones, but they're movies that you don't need to go to a theater to experience. They're not big picturesque type of movies. Anyway, so the left-wing urinalists are running to defend it and say, listen bigots, this movie's not made for you. Yeah, it's made for kids, fair enough, but who's going to take the kids to the theater and pay for the kids? And like I said, for 2 adults and 2 kids at a theater, even in the suburbs, it's going to be over $50. Movies just aren't worth $50 for 3 or 4 people. Anyway, the left-wing journalists are very nervous about this, because there's only so many bombs that Hollywood, video games, and comics can make, because eventually BlackRock, State Street, Vanguard, the Larry Fink are running out of other people's mutual fund money. But the thing is, yes, it is a kids movie, so it probably will make its money back. People go, it's probably going to do $600 million, so it'll turn a little bit of a profit, because the expectations for a kids movie are so much lower, because it's for dumber people. So kids are dumb, no offense, and it's also for dumber adults who just want to consume next product, Jay, and not ask questions. So the left is going to look at this, and it'll be like a mild success, or maybe even it'll be a big hit, and they'll go, look, Nazis, people are on board the woke messaging, though. I mean, other than the obese Pac's female. I can't visually look at it and say what woke messaging it's gonna have, and it might not have any in it. It's just people are kind of tired of Hollywood. It's just you lose your boner for something, and it's like Barbie. Barbie came along, and that A-bomb movie, whatever it was called, Oppenheimer. And those two did well, but it's like, that was, what, a year ago or something? 6 months ago? I don't know. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe. See you guys on the next episode.